What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to break down the concept of boundaries and how to handle situations when someone crosses them. So first off, what are boundaries? To me, they're a set of standards and expectations that you have for various people in your life. And if these people basically go against your standards or break your expectations, it is important to basically let them know what they did. It's basically standing up for yourself. And if you don't stand up for yourself, then your friends are not going to respect you. Girls are going to walk all over you. They're not going to be attracted to you because people do want a person who respects themselves and can stand up for themselves and isn't a giant pushover, especially girls. The important thing, though, is that your reaction to someone crossing your boundary needs to be appropriate for the situation. So let's say, your standard is that, when you make plans with your friends, they come on time, which is actually not really my standard because I'm always fucking late. And let's say your buddy's late by 5 minutes, right? And it's the first time he was ever late. If you say, yo, dude, if you ever fucking come late again, our friendship is over, your buddy's gonna lose respect for you because he's like, whoa, like this guy got way overreactive and, just seems like a crazy person. Or let's say, one of your boundaries is that when you're on a date with a girl, you expect her not to be on her phone, which is actually a personal boundary of mine. However, it's within reason. Like, I don't care if she checks her phone a little bit or if she gets a text. I just don't want her to be on the phone the whole date, right? I just feel like that's disrespectful, and that's not something that I enjoy. But let's say the first time the girl checks her phone, I say, hey, listen, if you do that again, I'm walking away. Right? Because you just crossed my boundary. Again, like it's going to be very low value. It's going to be like, well, this guy's crazy. He gets really reactive and butthurt. When I do anything, I better just end the date myself. So it's very important for your reaction to be appropriate for the situation. And I also want to add that you can actually preempt a lot of people, a lot of these situations and having to basically enforce your boundaries simply by picking the right people in your life. Like my friends, they're all people who respect me and not really going to try to deliberately do anything that is something that I'm not going to like. And all the girls who I bring into my life, at least long term, they're not chicks who are going to be constantly pushing my buttons. Again, because they respect me and they're decent human beings, right? Some level of button pushing is unavoidable, but a lot of it also you can minimize simply by picking the right people in your life and also having a willingness to walk away, because women are going to be much less likely to, let's just say, constantly push you if they know that if they go too far, you can walk away. If they know that you're not just 100% dependent on them and they can see that you're not a pushover who will stand up for himself when necessary. So I want to start off by giving some examples of how to properly handle situations when someone crosses your boundary. And the key word here is properly. So a good one I had that happened about a year ago was an ex-girlfriend of mine. And again, we had a good thing going, but she had this habit of overreacting to certain situations. And basically what she would do is she would call me and say, this is over. And then she would change her mind, like 3 hours later, right? And so the first time she did that, I told her, basically, she crossed my personal boundary, because to me, like saying, yo, this is over, I don't want to see you again, that's a really extreme measure. So I said, hey, listen, I really didn't like when you said that because that made me feel like I'm very disposable to you. That didn't make me feel secure in the relationship. So I'm explaining to her the logic, right? I was very calm. I didn't yell at her. I wasn't, saying that she's a bad person. I'm just explaining the facts and how I feel. And then the second part is, where I told her what would happen again. I said, hey, listen, if you do that again, like that's going to be the end of our relationship. Like, I really like you, but that's something that just goes too far for me. And then she was like, yeah, I understand, blah, blah, blah. And that was actually how our relationship ended, because a few months later, she did the same thing to me. And I was like, hey, listen, like I told you the first time, that if you did that, that was going to be the end. And, we kind of went back and forth, and you can make the argument that was a little bit of an extreme measure, that maybe I should have given her one more chance. And if we didn't have other issues going on behind the scenes, I probably would have given her maybe one more chance. But again, that was just like she crossed my boundary. I expressed that. I didn't yell at her. I didn't call her a bitch. Again, all that is low value reactive shit. I just expressed to her what happened, gave her a chance, and then she made the mistake again, and I made the decision to end things. So that's a pretty good example. Now I want to go back to the phone thing. Like, I recently had a date where a chick was constantly on her phone. Now the first time she checks her phone, do I say, okay, if you check your phone again, this date is over? No, because there's a lot less expectation here, and it's a lot less of a extreme thing that she did. She just checked her phone. She didn't actually say, yo, Alex, like use a bitch or something like that, or like I'm gonna end this date, right? So how do I handle that? I gave her a little bit of leeway, and then when she did that for 20 seconds, say, hey, listen, phone? No. phone down. She's like, haha, okay, you know. So basically that's me indirectly telling her that, hey, you're crossing my boundary right now. So she puts the phone down. And then next time she did, I was like, what did I say about the phone? Right, so a little more firm this time. Again, my voice is still playful in this situation, right? Because first of all, this girl doesn't owe me as much. Like if this was a girlfriend of mine, I would probably use more direct communication. Be like, hey babe, listen, we talked about this. I really don't like it when you check your phone. Come on, babe, right? Versus this is a date. There's less. She owes me less. So again, yeah, I'm gonna, use a little bit more, keep things more fun, right? But if a chick consistently keeps doing that, at some point I'm be like, okay, listen, like this is becoming kind of a turn off. And I've had to do that like a few times in my life. Most of the time the girl gets the hint, but sometimes I'd be like, hey, listen, like, come on, the phone thing, like this, you're killing me right now. Like this is kind of a turn off. And at that point, vast majority of chicks will be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're right. But again, the key here thing is I'm not yelling. I'm not, fucking berating her or something like that. Another example of boundaries, and boundaries apply not just only with girls, was an ex-business partner of mine who must not be named. So this person crossed my boundaries multiple times. And the boundaries I had were, hey, if we say we're going to do something, we do it. We don't make excuses. We don't lie. And, I gave him multiple chances, but he kept crossing my boundaries by, just lying and not doing his share of the work and making excuses. And after a while, I would make the argument that I waited way too long. I should have enforced my boundaries earlier. I said, okay, you've done this one too many times. Our partnership is over. And, initially he tried to get me to reconsider. He's like, come on, dude, I won't do that again. But I was like, you know what? Like, I've given you multiple chances. Again, I didn't yell at him. I didn't berate him. I said, sorry, I can't do this anymore. This partnership is over. So that's another example of, properly enforcing your boundaries. And I want to give one last example, and this is something a lot of guys can relate to, is a chick who flakes on a date. So again, like the first time a chick flakes on me, I don't fucking say, oh, if you do that again, we're not gonna hang out, or I don't go hardcore on her. Like it also depends, a lot of it is the context. Like does she say, hey, sorry, can't make it tonight? Or does she say, hey, I'm really sorry, I had some plans come up and this last minute emergency, can we do another night? Those two situations should be handled completely differently. But if a chick flakes on me multiple times, again, a lot of it depends on how much I like this girl. Do I feel like she's being sincere, or is she just making excuses and being flaky? But at a certain point, I'm going to enforce my boundaries. I'm going to say, okay, look, if you're not into this, just let me know. I'm going to stop trying. And if she keeps flaking, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to walk away. And a few chicks have got me to the point where I stop trying and I just walk away. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm no longer interested. Like, again, it doesn't happen often because I do see that as more of a game. Like, I expect a lot more from chicks who I'm actually seeing, but chicks who, haven't even met yet, I expect a lot less from them, right? So my boundaries are set lower simply because there's a lot less expectations and I see it more of as a game. Like, it doesn't really offend me, right? But at a certain point, chick keeps flaking, you know what? I'm just going to be like, I'm fucking walking away. An unfortunate thing that I found in the pickup and the red pill community is that a lot of guys really get the concept of boundaries wrong, and they don't understand what an appropriate reaction to a situation is. They feel like, okay, I gotta be a man, I gotta fucking stand up for myself, but they stand up for themselves in the wrong situations, and the reaction makes no sense. So I'm gonna share a personal story, and this is gonna be an example of a bad example of someone trying to force their boundaries. So I'm not going to name any names, but there's another YouTuber who I mentioned once in my video. It wasn't even anything negative. I just casually mentioned them. I disagreed with one thing they said. And I ran into them recently, and they were just like super fucking pissed because in their mind, I really crossed their boundaries. So they were like yelling at me and, telling me if I ever did that again, that we're going to have problems and all that shit. The problem here is that the reaction was completely inappropriate for the situation, right? Because I just casually mentioned them in one video. Another problem is that I don't owe them anything. We don't have any kind of contract. I'm allowed to talk about anyone who I want. I can make a video, half an hour ranting about how one person sucks. That's not what I did in this situation. So the problem is, again, they were trying to enforce their boundary, but in reality, they just lost a lot of respect in my eyes because they just got extremely reactive and their reaction was way overblown for the situation. And this is something that happens with a lot of guys and girls. So a girl might do something super minor and they get super reactive and start yelling at her, or just they're super strict, and then the girl's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So again, it is important not to be a pushover and stand up for yourself. However, the reaction needs to be appropriate. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable. Show us some love by smashing the like button, hitting subscribe, and clicking the bell for notification. We're currently trying to get to 50,000 subs. And once I do that, we're gonna release some never before seen infield footage of me. It's gonna be a lot of good stuff there. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.